Big tech layoffs rolling in. Spotify, the latest to tighten its belt with plans to cut 6% of its employees. The CEO had this to say: an effort to drive more efficiency, control costs and speed up decision making. The move follows Meta slashing 13% of the workforce, 10% at Salesforce, 6% at Alphabet, 5% at Microsoft, totaling more than 44,000 jobs cuts among the 5 companies. And Kailey, Leinz, you wonder how much work Amazon's got to do, even with its recent announcement.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because remember, just over the last 3 years or so, since 2019, Amazon has added more than 740,000 people to its workforce. This is really what it's all about for these companies, John. They added headcount dramatically. For Spotify, they have more than double the amount of employees today they did in 2019. Their total workforce right now about 2,800 people. So with that 6% cut, that equates to roughly 600 jobs. And then you look at the other companies you mentioned that have cut 12, 11, 10,000 people. In the case of Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft, they all also added tens of thousands of people to their workforce really over the course of the pandemic, when it was boom time for these companies. We are no longer in a boom time kind of macro environment. And to put it into perspective, how much things are softening in the tech sector in particular, just take a look at profit projections for the fourth quarter that they're getting ready to report. The information technology sector is expected to see profits drop by 9%. That would be the most going all the way back to 2016. But of course, it's not just tech as an industry that is suffering. This really has the potential to widen out beyond that sector. A new NABE survey of business economists just released today said nearly 20% of respondents expect employment at their company to fall in the coming months. That's actually the first time since 2020 that more expect falling rather than increased employment in the next 3 months. And about a third of companies say they are not facing any labor shortages. So this is definitely something we will have to continue to keep our eyes on, as Spotify just the latest in a string of these announcements, John.
Kailey, Leinz, it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. Another day, another set of job cuts. The one statistic that jumps out to me, and I think we gloss over it way too much: 2019, Amazon, 800,000 employees. 2 years later, 1.6 million. 800,000 to 1.6 million in something like 2 or 3 years. That is absolutely ridiculous how quickly that has happened. Robert Tip, Krishna Mamani back with us. Krishna, this is where the excess has been. This is where you'd expect there to be cuts. I think we're trying to work out whether the cuts we've seen so far are sufficient or whether we're going to see a whole lot more.
Well, so, we can talk about the tech sector, but in the overall GDP economic context, it doesn't really matter that much. It matters for the sector, but for the overall economy, that's not where the problem is. The problem is in the bottom the bottom quintile of the labor force. That's where we are missing the workers. That's where 2.5 million people have just disappeared. And that's the sector, or that's the part of the economy that the Fed is focused on. And if you look at continuing claims, which I think indicates that more than anything else, there is really no softening in that part of the market. And that's a problem for the Fed. I'm very hopeful they will solve it, but it doesn't look like it's working right now.